All right. So the record button is on. So now we're going to go ahead and with the NFL schedule. The games are already started underway. So we'll cover some of the games that are happening today. All times for these games are Eastern time. So make sure you check the local listings for time zone. So when I mention about what times these games are starting, know that I'm speaking from the Eastern time because I am on the Eastern time zone. So we'll get with that. All right. So your early matchups for today NFL on this Sunday is December 14th. You have the Browns checking on Chicago Bears. Baltimore Ravens visiting the Cincinnati Bengals in a divisional matchup. You have the Los Angeles Chargers visiting the Kansas City Chiefs. That should be a very good contest. In fact, I kind of want to change my channel, even though it's not on my TV. I'll find a way to watch that game. Right now, I'm watching the Buffalo Bills taking on the New England Patriots. And right now, the Patriots are kicking their butt. The Washington Commanders visiting New York Giants, another divisional matchup. Then you got the Las Vegas. This is the other game that's on my TV. Las Vegas Raiders visiting the Philadelphia Eagles, and New York Jets taking on the Jacksonville Jaguars. And rounding out all the early games, you have the Arizona Cardinals visiting the Houston Texans. Your midday games are the Green Bay Packers taking on the Denver Broncos, Detroit Lions visiting Los Angeles Rams, which should be an important game for both teams. The Carolina Panthers, who just recently got first place in their division, taking on the New Orleans Saints in the divisional matchup. Tennessee Titans taking on the San Francisco 49ers, and the Indianapolis Colts, who've been reeling the last few weeks, visiting the good Seattle Seahawks team that is on a roll. Your Sunday night game is the Minnesota Vikings taking on the Dallas Cowboys, and your Monday night matchup is the Dolphins visiting the Pittsburgh Steelers in Pittsburgh for 8:15. Make sure you check all your local listings for all the games listed here. And we already had our Thursday night game where the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are really reeling when it comes to the injury department, who just fell out of first place in their division, lost to the Atlanta Falcons, who is reeling with injuries back and forth. But hey, man, sometimes when you got Kirk Cousins on your team, he can pull off some things here and there. 29-28, very tight, close game. Shout outs to two of the receivers for doing their thing, especially Kyle Pitts Sr. with 3 touchdowns. Kirk Cousins with 3 touchdowns himself. Bijan Robinson leading all rushing in 93 yards. And this really hurts the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, who was rolling early in the season, but because of all the injuries and things that have been going on with them, they're really hurting. So they really got to buckle down because right now the Carolina Panthers is currently controlling the division. And just to give an update on the next Thursday night game, let me see. No, get back here. There we go. The Thursday night game for this week is going to be Los Angeles Rams visiting the Seahawks. That should be a very important game. Also, you had a Saturday night matchup. Do we have a Saturday night matchup next weekend? Yeah. So excuse me. So next weekend you're going to have 2 Saturday night matchups. Saturday night matchups. We're going to Philadelphia Eagles visiting the Washington Commanders and the Green Bay Packers visiting the Chicago Bears in the divisional rivalry, which is determining going to be the first place in NFC North, because this team was at the top of the division, not even the top of the division, I think they was at the top of the NFC at one point, but again, they lost to the Green Bay Packers. So there you go. I've already discussed about the Falcons and the Buccaneers. So current standings right now, New England Patriots are sitting on top of the AFC East with the Buffalo Bills looking in and the Miami Dolphins still hanging on. Of course, New York Jets have been eliminated from playoff contention. AFC North, the Pittsburgh Steelers are top of the division, followed by the Ravens and the Cincinnati Bengals, with the Cleveland Browns being officially eliminated from playoff contention. AFC South, the Jacksonville Jaguars are still holding on to the top of the division, with the Houston Texans closely closing in on that lead. Followed by the Indianapolis Colts, who were the darling of that division, who potentially was the number 1 seed going into the last few weeks, have been reeling, especially with plagued with injuries to their quarterbacks and other players. And right now, they're just trying to hang on for dear life, with the Tennessee Titans obviously eliminated from the playoff contention. And the AFC West, we got the Denver Broncos, who are clear front runners for that division. Pretty much I think it's going to be pretty much they're going to take this crown as long as they hold strong, because they are at the top. Followed by the Los Angeles Chargers, which Kansas City Chiefs still holding to that 6 and 7 position right now. I'm not going to do it. Don't make me do it. I'm not going to do it. With the Las Vegas Raiders at 2-10, officially eliminated from the playoffs. Looking at the conferences in the NFC, the NFC East, the Philadelphia Eagles are still holding on with 8-5 record, followed by the Dallas Cowboys sitting at 6-6-1. Both Commanders and the Giants have been mathematically eliminated from the playoffs. In NFC North, which is the race that's a little bit more tighter with the Packers and the Bears, both at 9-3 and 9-4 respectively, followed by the Detroit Lions at 8-5, and the Minnesota Vikings are still in playoff contention at 5-8. The NFC South, the Carolina Panthers are currently holding a one game lead over the Tampa Bay Buccaneers for top of the NFC South, with both the Falcons and the Saints both mathematically eliminated from the playoffs. And NFC West, you got the Rams and the Seahawks sitting at 10-3 each, followed by the San Francisco 49ers sitting at 94, with the Arizona Cardinals mathematically eliminated from the playoffs. So looking at the standings today, if the playoffs were to start today at the AFC, the Denver Broncos would have the top seed. We number one seed with a win with wins tie break over the New England based on best win percentage in the conference games, followed by the New England Patriots sitting at number 2, Jacksonville at number 3, and Pittsburgh sitting at number 4. And your wild card teams rounding out from 5 to 7 would be the Chargers, the Bills, and the Texans. As it stands, the teams that are in the hunt right now are looking to make the playoffs. Obviously, the Colts, the Ravens, the Chiefs, the Dolphins, and the Bengals are all sitting on the outside looking in from 8 to 12. Looking at the NFC conference in excuse me. I mentioned again, I am sick. Bear with me. All right, there we go. In the AFC and the NFC conference, we got the Rams still top of the conference at number 1 seed at 10-3, followed by the Green Bay Packers, who are sitting at 9-3. The Philadelphia Eagles are sitting at 85, and the Carolina Panthers sitting at 7-6. So those are your top 4 teams for each different division. And then your wild card teams, looking at the Seattle Seahawks, the San Francisco 49ers, and the Chicago Bears. Followed by the Detroit Lions, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, the Cowboys, and the Minnesota Vikings, all looking on the outside looking in towards the playoffs. It's going to be a very entertaining last 3 weeks of the season starting today. So make sure you check your local listings for all the games that are listed here for the NFL. Moving right along to college. And last night, the Heisman trophy was hoisted for the first time. A quarterback from, not only a player from Indiana, but the quarterback from Indiana have won the Heisman Trophy. Congratulations to Fernando Mendoza for becoming the first Indiana Hoosier to win a Heisman. This Indiana team has really performed very well, and it was a really close race between him and the quarterback from Ohio State. It just came down to that championship game between those two teams at the Big Ten, and Indiana came out on top. So congratulations to him. I don't remember what the total votes were. He claimed 2,362 points, including 643 first place votes. He beat out Vanderbilt's quarterback Diego Pavia, who had 1,435 points. Notre Dame's running back Jeremiah Love at 719 points, and then Ohio State's quarterback Julian Sayin at 432 points. There you go. If you don't know much about this guy, the Indiana Hoosiers have been a top 5 team in the nation. They been undefeated so far. In fact, they're the only team going into the college football playoff that is undefeated. They recently just beat Ohio State 13-10 in the Big Ten championship, and they will be the number 1 seed, and they'll get a first round bye going into the playoffs. So the next time you'll see this team play, they'll be in one of the bowl games. Speaking of bowl games and games going on, America's game happened yesterday. Army, Navy pulls out the close win against the Black Knights at 17-16. Heard this was a very close game. Both teams were meeting I think the game was in Baltimore at the Ravens Stadium. So congratulations to the Navy midshipmen for pulling off a close games, and congratulations to both teams to making it to the end of the season. Don't have much to say about that. It's America's game. It's always the last game of the season. And the bowl season has already started early. We had the Cricket Celebration Bowl that happened on Saturday, which, if you don't know, the Cricket Celebration Bowl puts the top 2 teams from the SWAC conference and the MEAC conference. Both of those conferences have been historically black college university conferences. And South Carolina State from the MEAC conference won in 4 overtimes over Prairie View A&M Panthers, scored a 40-38. So this officially makes them the Black College National Championship. So congratulations to South Carolina State Bulldogs for winning their championship. There was another bowl game that did happen yesterday. It was the Bucked Up LA Bowl. And this game was played against the Washington Huskies and the Boise State Broncos. Washington Huskies, too much for the Broncos, 38-10. I mean, it was a clear runaway game for them. So congratulations to them for winning the game. 1 second, guys. Oh, I'm sorry. My apologies. I was thank you for telling me that. I was just talking about the New York Knicks winning against the Magic. I gotta look at that score again. That was New York Knicks winning against the Magic. They'll be moving on to the finals of the NBA Cup. Thank you for telling me that. They'll be moving on to the finals of the NBA Cup. They'll be facing off against the San Antonio Spurs. Now, as previously mentioned in the NBA Cup, all the games do count except for the championship game. That game is considered the 83rd game of the team that makes the championship game. So those two teams will be facing off on the 16th of December. Make sure you check your local listings. The game will be taking place in Vegas. They're going to make an interesting change to the NBA Cup next season. So the semifinals games will be taking place on the home floor of the respective teams instead of taking place in Vegas. Instead of semifinal games like taking place in Vegas, I think they're doing this for logistics reasons. Why they're moving those games from the arena, from the Vegas arena to the home courts. I think the original concept was when they first started doing the NBA Cup, they wanted to have like a Final Four feel to it, basically like a festive event where you can have like almost an all day affair where you can see these two teams play and compete for this in season tournament championship. But I think cooler heads better prevailed. That is, they moved those games away and they should be on the home court instead of being in Vegas. Move the championship games to the different courts. Not only just the Vegas, I would say just moving around to different arenas. It's cool that you have it in Vegas, but I think that you should be moving it to other places too. Like have the championship game in New York, have the championship game in LA, have the championship game in Boston. So, yeah, I would like to see that would be the only other change I would like to see implemented in the NBA Cup is to move those games around. Other than that, I think that we still need time to see how the system is going to work. I think the only other thing I could recommend for the NBA Cup is maybe, just maybe, and I don't know if they're going to ever do this, but instead of just having conference groups, break the groups up to play interconferences. Like see the San Antonio Spurs play like the Milwaukee Bucks or something like that. That would be something interesting to do like 1 year just to try it out to see it if it could work. I know travel is a big thing, but if you think about it, the way they're playing these games, I think you're like playing these teams like one time, 1 out of 5. So it wouldn't really hurt on travel that much, especially if they could just play those games and move on with it, and if they're not on back-to-backs. So that's just my food for thought. But What do you guys think? Just let me know. I think that would be something interesting to see, other than just, like I said, moving those championship games away from Vegas. It's cool that they play in Vegas, but I would like to see them in other places as well. So that's all I have for the news as far as NBA. I don't really report that much on the NBA anymore as I used to, because all the NBA news is now moving to Rock Boys Network. We do have a podcast that we do every Wednesday. That does happen live. We just did one recently. Both of us been under the weather when it happened, but if you make sure you go check it out, it is on. We do record it live on YouTube. It is on Twitch, and it's called the Rock Boys Rebound. It's every Wednesday. We do a recap of the NBA, what's going on in the NBA, stories, news stories of the NBA, recapping what the places of the NBA. The NBA season has actually been really, really, really good so far. But if you want to check out more news about the NBA, make sure y'all go over there, because we'll talk more about it. Right here, I'll just do like a little bit of recaps here and there and just cover some minor news that I want to cover about some of the games that happened. Okay, so moving on to WNBA news. I was just want to briefly cover this because this was discussed, I think, 2 days ago, about what's going on when it comes to the WNBA and the upcoming CBA agreement with their players. From what I read in this article, it seemed that they are pushing for more of compromise to the players, because the last time I discussed about the article with the WNBA players, they were looking to still keep the housing situation where teams would pay for housing instead of the players coming out of their pocket to pay for housing. What's up, Shy? How you doing? Especially considering that they have the salaries aren't necessarily there. Though the WNBA is pushing towards doing that because they're trying to increase the salaries. Like I said, they just felt like it was kind of disheartening for them to go through this situation, but that's just part of the course. Honestly, if you're trying to get more money, you're going to have to make some compromises somewhere. So hopefully they can figure something out soon. Yes, the shout out is there. You're welcome. So they can figure something out. Hopefully they can get everything together before the season. I know they extended it into January. And also the WNBA has been talking about starting camp sooner, sometime in March, which would hinder some players who like to play overseas from making camp on time and breaking their commitments. We'll see what happens to that. I think it also interferes with the Unrivaled League that they started, which should be starting very soon, which is like the 3-on-3 women's league that they got going on. There's another league there. I forgot there's another women's league that they created. I got to look that one up next time. I apologize for not having that information up any sooner. Moving right along, just to briefly recap about Angel Reese's situation with Chicago. From some of y'all may not know, Angel Reese had a really rocky sophomore season in Chicago. She was actually suspended for conduct detrimental to the team, for speaking out about how the competitive nature of the team. She's still going to be remaining with the team. Even though she's still on the contract, she's not going anywhere anytime soon. She said that she still wants to compete. So we'll see what happens with that. But you keep your eyes out with what goes on with Angel Reese and everything that's related to Angel Reese and Chicago Sky. I'm going to be honest with you. If I was her, I would just leave. I would demand a trade as soon as possible when you can. Because if that team is not, if you're a competitive player and you want to win, and the team is not putting the best pieces around you to get the best out of your talent and your effort, it might be best for you just to move on so you can go to a better competitive team. Especially considering that the WNBA is going to be doing at least 4 expansion teams in the next few years. So we'll see what happens. They got 2 this year and then 2 next year. So we'll see. And then we're going to end this out on some news. I don't normally talk about wrestling on this podcast, but when somebody this big in wrestling decides to call it quits, you got to give your shout out to this man. 17-time champion, multiple championships between the World Heavyweight Championship, the WWE Championship, Tag Team Championship, US Champion, and recently Intercontinental Championship as of this year. John Cena's career has officially ended last night at Saturday night's main event when he put that smile on his face, as you see right there, tapping the arm, because the first time I tapping out in over 20 years to Gunther. and he has hung up the jorts. He has taken off the shoes. He's laid the armbands on the ring. There were people literally crying. I mean, literally crying that John Cena has tapped out, and this is the end of his in-ring career. This man has been in wrestling for like well over 20 years, even though he was part-time for like the last 6 or 7 years, give or take. He is part of the famous class of 2002 from Ohio Valley Wrestling. So if you don't know, that class has superstars like Brock Lesnar, Batista, Randy Orton, Shelton Benjamin, John Cena. That's that class. So hats off to him. They call him the GOAT. He's not my GOAT, but you know what? I'm going to give respect where respect due. That man has more Make-A-Wish, has done more Make-A-Wish than anyone else I know. And I'm not making this up. I can speak this for facts. If you go follow John Cena on social media, he will follow you back, especially on Twitter. I'm not calling it X. It's still Twitter. I don't care. If you go follow him on Twitter, he will follow you back. Shocked the hell out of me. I thought it was a bot. But no, he follows everybody. So congratulations on this man. Had an amazing career. The heights that he's taken has been different, and hopefully everything works out with him in Hollywood. So far, so good. But yeah, one hell of a career for John Cena, man. One hell of a career. So that is, we want to finish up all the news on Sports Podcast. Make sure you go check your local listings. All sports related news. You can go to ESPN.com like you saw right here. You also go to FoxSports.com. You can also go to the Associated Press, where most of the reports are coming from anyway. And make sure you go out and support your local team. So if you give me a minute, I will stop the recording, and then we're going to continue with some games, and I'll switch over in a minute.